Welcome to SAP TechEd 2021 and the strategy talk about the digital transformation journey of source to pay processes. I'm Salvatore Lombardo. I'm the CPO and head of engineering for procurement at SAP. And I'm joined by Erik Meader, vice president of sourcing and enterprise services at Pfizer. Pfizer has been a long-standing and highly engaged SAP Ariba customer on an active journey to migrate from on-premise to cloud. They recently went live with SAP Ariba buying and invoicing and guided buying and are tracking to launch to the US, their largest market, in early 2022. The purpose of today's session is to have a conversation about the digital transformation journey at Pfizer, how this was approached, and what are the key learnings that can be shared. You will also hear about Pfizer's future vision and how SAP supports our customers on that journey with our strategy. You can ask your questions on a live platform. We will do our best to answer as many as we can. So let's start with our journey of this strategy talk. So, Erik, Pfizer is, as I said, undergoing this big transformation from Ariba on-premise to the cloud. Can you elaborate on this transformation journey and what was your approach to succeed with it?
Great, thanks, Alvin. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. It's a real privilege and honor. So, everything at Pfizer really starts with our purpose, right? And we have a pretty important purpose of trying to find breakthroughs that change patients' lives, right? So to enable this purpose, we're pursuing a number of bold moves and big ideas. The first of which involves unleashing the power of our people, by creating more meaningful work. The second is to make sure we win the digital race, right? Which includes making our work faster and making it easier. So if we can do both of those, if we can unleash the power of our people and make our work faster and easier, then that can help fulfill our purpose, right? Which is ultimately about bringing breakthroughs that really change patients' lives. And for procurement, this really includes finding ways of providing a simpler, more intuitive, searchable, and guided buying experience, so that our employees can quickly and easily buy the goods and services that they need in order to fulfill that bold purpose. In terms of our approach and critical success factors as we've made this transformation, I think a couple of things come to mind. The first is really the close collaboration with SAP Ariba, right? And you guys have been very good partners in terms of allowing us to participate in customer engagement initiatives. You've allowed us to provide feedback and input into design and functionality. And so I think that has really been a significant contributor to our success. And we've appreciated the opportunity to do that and your willingness to listen, and take our input and our feedback. The second is that as we've rolled this out, we've really tried to focus on some super users, people that really use the platform a lot. These are people from our business groups who are ultimately the ones that we're trying to, enable, right? So we've included them quite a bit throughout the design process to make sure that, the design and the functionality really delivers the goal of simplification. So, knowing that, Salva, we're on this transformational journey, a little bit about our bold purpose. How do SAP Procurement Solutions support some of that?
One thing is we will continue listening. I think that's the key of being successful, and continue really supporting you on this journey with understanding on how we can solve the problem you want to solve. And I think from a technology point of view, is one thing which is extremely relevant to it is the intelligent enterprise product offering. If you look at Ariba being one puzzle piece of a big transformation journey, which we are helping our customers on. When you look at puzzle pieces like a completely S4HANA, when you look at Fieldglass and all other solutions which around the intelligent enterprise can allow you or will allow you to run those processes end-to-end integrated with SAP applications. So that's one thing. And the second is, of course, the automation. The automation with the intelligent technologies we have on not only allowing you to transform processes and steps you run today, but rather also help you to automate, simplify, and maybe even reduce manual intervention of your buyers, of your employees, of casual users into that process, which we have done already. A few successes in the guided buying transformation, Erik, which we know today are already in those countries live and already saving the one or the other step. And thirdly, then, and this is maybe the very relevant one from an value addition, is the combination of the direct, the indirect, and the service spend into this transformation overall. Because by delivering you an holistic application which allows you to run those spends in the products combined and combine them even for one persona, it unlocks a completely new experience for your business users, and on the other side also for your technology on using it as downstream processes. And just to make the one example on this is one thing which the digitalization will allow you are built-in intelligence functionalities like supplier recommendations on the right place on where you want to buy, even for casual users, where the preferred supplier is picked, or in a sourcing process when we start getting also with guided sourcing into a transformation, that you can upload existing manual filled Excels today, upload into the system, and the system is recognizing and making you suggestion on how your RFQ can look like. So all of this process, just to make two examples of many, will help unlocking really and making the simplicity in your business departments much higher and giving them a really big value. Yeah, and with that, maybe already I touched a little bit even the future. So how does, from your perspective, the future look like, Erik, and the next steps you want to undertake in the Pfizer journey?
You know, you used a couple of key words that are music to my ears, you know, as they say. So I like hearing words like integrated and holistic, because I really think they kind of capture not just our future vision, but some of the key things that we're working on today. So it's really kind of our current focus area. You know, right now, what we're really focused on is supplier risk. You know, that's the most important thing in our current agenda. You know, I think Pfizer has pretty robust solutions in place, processes, policies, organizations to manage supplier risk within a particular risk area or risk domain, as we like to call them. But one of our key vision elements is to better integrate those, you know, data assessments and provide a more holistic enterprise-wide perspective on third-party risk management, on third-party risk, on supplier performance, right? So we've along the way, we've come to realize too that there are really two different types of risk, or maybe levels of risk. You know, there's kind of the supplier level risk, which is risk that is just inherent with the supplier itself as a company, right? All companies have business risks that their business partners need to be aware of. The second is engagement level risk, and that's just risk that's inherent in the specific work that a company is doing for us or doing on our behalf. So I think, you know, the two different levels really call for slightly different approaches, and that's something that we're incorporating into our vision. Ultimately, we want to give our employees simple tools and processes, you know, that are kind of fit for purpose, and ultimately allow our employees to identify risk, you know, assess risk, mitigate risk, and manage risk. And that naturally, I think, ties into two other interrelated areas that are part of the longer term vision. And those are supplier self-service as well as vendor data management. You know, we have to continue to find ways to improve and shorten our procurement cycle. We have to continue to find ways to make things easier and integrate all of this information, both for our employees as well as our suppliers. Right. So there's so much more I think that we can do with better connectivity and cleaner data. So those are some of the things, you know, as I think about longer term, you know, where do we go from here? So those are part of our longer term vision. So now that you hear that, do you want to comment on how SAP's vision matches with some of that?
Yeah, absolutely, Erik. And it matches really, really well, because looking at the supplier management as a topic, supplier management is, for us as SAP, and maybe even in that case, really for me as a CPO for procurement at SAP, one of the key enabler for our source to pay process. As you just laid it out, I think without a well-defined and well-managed supplier management, including a risk-aware procurement everywhere in the end-to-end processes, we won't really enable every potential we could enable in the end-to-end processes you just laid out. So it's an absolutely must, and I'm completely on the same wave as you just said. I think if I go down a little bit more, what I call the supplier 360 view is the combination of on the one side, a supplier really from a public profile perspective, from a risk perspective, and then from the buyer side perspective, which is again inside information which buyers want to maintain regarding supplier performance or other other items which are relevant for this supplier. With this, you get a 360 view. We will also incorporate this 360 view in the different applications. For example, today you are using guided buying, but also in the sourcing solutions or in all other follow down and downstream processes which are needed for the operational. And this scorecard, as we call it, this scorecard will give you the allowance to really understand the supplier in each and every process step. And just to that, the data are the most relevant at the end of the day, because you have one supplier and one supplier vendor master, which we need to make sure that if you maintain it once, you can use it everywhere. And it's not a nightmare for at the end of the day, the IT to get this vendor somehow, matched and duplicates and all the enhanced information matched. So there, the connection to your MDG, so to the master data governance, or to even today existing solutions in ECC. So wherever the status will be and how we will tackle that phases. It will be also one of my ways on supporting you on this journey to get the vendor really enabled everywhere with one single master data item. And I think with that we will also harmonize, and this is the most important, harmonize and prepare you for for possible business network steps down the road. If you connect to networks, if you want to connect via the network to vendors, find new vendors where you today don't know. And with that, have harmonized data down your downstream process and upstream processes. And and I think this will also unlock, just to close with this, this will also unlock new potentials, which we maybe both today, Erik, we even don't know yet on what we really wanna bring to your business. And that's really exciting for me. Yeah, maybe with that, I really, Erik, want to thank you for giving me your time. I know how valuable it is, especially in these times, by the way, and that you and your company are helping us coming out of this situation.
Yeah, and thank you, Salva. Thanks for your continued partnership.
Yeah, thank you, Erik. And yeah, dear attendees, thank you very much for listening in. We wish you a nice rest of the TechEd, and talk to you and see you soon. Bye-bye.